My child, this might be my final words to you. I say that not to frighten you, but because truth spoken too late becomes regret instead of rescue. I'm running out of time, not because my love is ending, but because moments like this do not wait forever. And you still don't know what really happened, do you? You still don't see why things unfolded the way they did, why doors closed without explanation, why silence stretched longer than you thought you could endure. You blamed yourself, you blamed circumstances, you thought you missed something, but you never stopped long enough to hear me explain. That is why I am speaking now with urgency, with closeness, with a weight that should not be ignored. You think this is just another message. I know that thought passed through your mind. You have heard many words before. You have listened and moved on. You have felt stirred and then returned to routine. But you need to hear this before it's too late, before distraction steals what clarity is trying to deliver. Do not turn away now. Do not tell yourself you will come back later. Later is where understanding goes quiet. Later is where courage fades. Later is where you forget how close this moment fell. I have been trying to reach you again and again, through restlessness you couldn't explain, through questions that surfaced at night, through moments when everything went quiet inside you for no reason. Those were not accidents, those were invitations. And this moment is not guaranteed to return in the same way. I will not force you, but I will be honest with you. When I speak, it matters. When I call your attention, it is because something needs to be seen now, not someday. You have been living without the full picture. You saw pieces of your story and assumed you understood the whole. You thought what happened was loss when it was interruption. You thought what hurt you was abandonment when it was protection. You thought the delay meant you were forgotten when it meant I was holding you back from something you were not ready to face yet. But you filled the silence with your own conclusions, and those conclusions weighed you down. I know you learned to cope by not asking too many questions. You learned to survive by staying busy, by staying guarded, by staying distracted. Stillness began to feel dangerous because stillness brings truth to the surface, and truth felt painful because you did not yet have the context to understand it. That is why I waited. Not because I was distant, but because your heart needed time to grow strong enough to receive without breaking. But now I'm speaking plainly, not loudly, but clearly. This is not entertainment. This is not comfort alone. This is understanding knocking on the door of your awareness. You sensed it the moment you paused. Something felt different, newer, closer, more personal. That recognition is not coincidence. That is discernment awakening. You were not here by chance. You did not stumble into this moment. You were guided here gently but intentionally. I have been patient with you, but patience does not mean endless delay. There are seasons where listening matters more than effort, where awareness matters more than endurance. You are standing in one of those seasons now. I know fear tries to rise when you hear words like final or too late, but listen to me carefully. I am not saying this to condemn you. I am saying this to awaken you. Love warns before danger. Love speaks before loss. Love does not stay silent when clarity can still change the course of things. If I did not care deeply, I would let you drift, but I care too much for that. You have wondered why the same feelings keep returning, why certain struggles repeat even when you try to move forward. You thought you were failing, you thought you were weak, but repetition is not punishment. It is truth asking to be seen, and truth will keep knocking until it is acknowledged. This moment is one of those knocks. Do not underestimate how close you came to missing this. Not because you are careless, but because life trained you to move quickly, to scroll past, to avoid lingering. The world rewards speed, not presence, but presence is where my voice is heard. You slowed down just enough. That is why you are still here. Father, you are my greatest joy, my guiding light, if He has brought peace and hope into your life. I am not angry with your hesitation. I understand it. You've been disappointed before. You learned not to lean in too far. You learned to protect yourself from hope. But protection has turned into distance, and distance has turned into confusion. I am not asking you to abandon wisdom. I am asking you to stop hiding from clarity. This message is not here to overwhelm you. It is here to orient you, to help you see that your life has not been random, that your pain has not been meaningless, that your waiting has not been wasted. But understanding only comes if you stay long enough to receive it. Turning away now would not erase my love, but it would delay your peace. I am running out of time, not because I am weak, but because moments of awakening are sacred. They are not forced, they are offered. And when they are ignored, life continues teaching through harder ways. I would rather teach you through truth than through exhaustion. You have been strong for too long without understanding why you had to be. You have endured without clarity. That is not how I want you to keep living. I want you to walk with awareness, not confusion, with trust, not constant questioning, with rest, not endless strain. This might be my final words to you in this form, in this moment, because once you see clearly, you cannot unsee. Once you understand, you cannot pretend you do not. Awareness changes responsibility, and I trust you enough to speak honestly now. Do not turn away, not because you are afraid of missing something dramatic, but because you deserve understanding. You deserve to know what really happened. You deserve to see your story with truth instead of self-blame. You deserve peace that comes from clarity, not just relief from distraction. I have been trying to reach you again and again, not to pressure you, but to prepare you. This moment is gentle, but it is serious. It is loving, but it is direct. It is patient, but it is urgent. Stay with me. Listen without rushing. Let the noise quiet. You are closer than you think, and this moment matters more than you know. I am speaking with urgency now, not because I am angry, not because danger is chasing you, and not because I want to frighten your heart. I am speaking this way because time and opportunity are connected in ways you do not always see. I need you to understand that love does not always whisper softly. Sometimes love leans close, looks you in the eyes, and says, "Listen now." This is one of those moments. Urgency does not always mean something bad is about to happen. Sometimes it means something important is about to be missed if you do not slow down and pay attention. You have been taught to associate urgency with panic, with pressure, with fear. But I am not panicking, and I am not pressuring you. I am inviting you. There is a difference. Fear rushes. Love clarifies. Fear threatens. Love warns. What I am offering you now is not a threat, and it is not condemnation. It is a final invitation shaped by care, patience, and truth. I am speaking urgently because clarity does not knock forever. Moments of divine clarity are rare. They are not constant, and they are not endless. They appear when a heart is ready, when awareness has matured, when listening becomes possible without resistance. You have lived through seasons where clarity would have overwhelmed you, where truth would have been misinterpreted as rejection or punishment. That is why I waited. But waiting does not mean silence forever. Waiting means speaking at the right time, and this is that time. You may wonder why now feels different, why these words feel heavier, closer, more serious. It is because you are standing at the edge of understanding. You are not being pulled by fear. You are being invited by awareness. Something in you already knows that this moment matters, even if you cannot explain why. That knowing is not anxiety. It is discernment waking up. I am not telling you that this is your last chance at love. My love does not expire. I am telling you that this is a moment of alignment, and alignment requires response. When truth is revealed and ignored, life does not punish you. It repeats the lesson in harder ways. I would rather speak to you now with clarity than allow confusion to keep teaching you through exhaustion. I am speaking urgently because you have reached a place where you can finally hear without filtering everything through fear. You are not listening to escape pain anymore. You are listening to understand it. That shift matters, and it changes what you can receive. It changes how deeply truth can settle instead of bouncing off guarded walls. I know you are tired of warnings that sound dramatic. I know you have learned to be skeptical of urgency because the world uses it to manipulate attention. But my urgency is not about control. It is about care. I am not asking you to act impulsively. I am asking you to be present. Presence is the doorway through which clarity enters. There are moments in life that feel ordinary on the outside, but carry weight on the inside. They do not announce themselves with noise. They do not demand immediate action. They simply ask to be honored. This is one of those moments. If you treat it casually, nothing will explode, but something will quietly pass by, and you will feel it later as restlessness, as repetition, as the sense that you almost understood something important but let it slip away. I am speaking urgently because you have already walked through too many cycles. You have endured confusion long enough. You have questioned yourself long enough. You have lived with half answers and quiet self-blame long enough. This moment is not here to accuse you of missing things. It is here to help you stop missing yourself. You think urgency means you must decide everything now. It does not. It means you must listen now. Understanding begins with listening, not with action. I am not demanding a leap. I am offering a pause long enough for truth to surface without being drowned out by noise. I have watched you rush past moments before, not because you didn't care, but because you were overwhelmed. Overwhelm trains you to keep moving so you don't have to feel, but constant movement numbs discernment. That is why I am slowing you down now, not to trap you, but to steady you. This is not fear-based. Fear says, do this or else. Love says, please listen before you hurt yourself again. I am not warning you of disaster. I am warning you of repetition. Repetition that drains joy. Repetition that blurs purpose. Repetition that makes life feel heavy without clear reason. I am speaking urgently because you are ready to understand what you could not understand before. Readiness is not about intelligence or strength. It is about humility. And humility has been growing in you through waiting, disappointment, and reflection. You are less defensive now, less certain, but more open. That openness is precious. I do not want it wasted. Once you see clearly, you cannot pretend you do not. Once you understand, you carry responsibility to yourself. Not a burden, but an awareness. That awareness changes how you move forward. I am not saying this to rush you into decisions you are not ready to make. I am saying this to help you recognize that this moment deserves your full attention. Not multitasking, not half listening, not planning what comes next while I am still speaking. Just presence. There are doors that do not force themselves open. They wait to be noticed. There are truths that do not shout. They wait to be received. If they are ignored, they do not chase you. They simply remain where they are, waiting for another season that may or may not come soon. I am not threatening you with loss. I am offering you understanding. Understanding brings peace. Peace brings movement. Movement brings life back into places that felt stagnant. That is why I am speaking now. You have survived without clarity long enough. You do not need to keep living that way. You are not being corrected. You are being invited to see. And seeing changes everything. Gently, quietly, steadily. This urgency is not about fear of punishment. It is about respect for timing. Timing is a gift, and this timing was prepared for you. So stay with me, not because you are afraid of missing something dramatic, but because you deserve to receive what is being offered. This is seriousness without panic, love without pressure, warning without condemnation. This is me saying, listen now, because understanding is here. You still don't know what really happened to you. I say that gently, not to shame you, but to free you from the weight of conclusions you carried without having the full truth. You lived through moments that hurt deeply, and because pain demands explanation, you gave those moments meanings that felt logical at the time. You told yourself you were abandoned. You told yourself you failed. You told yourself you were delayed because you were not enough. But those explanations were never the full story. They were the best you could do with the information you had then. Now, I am asking you to let me show you what you could not see before. There were seasons when you felt left behind. People moved on. Opportunities passed. Silence stretched longer than you expected. You waited for answers that did not come, and waiting slowly turned into doubt. You assumed absence where there was actually protection. You assumed neglect where there was careful restraint. You did not know what was happening behind the scenes because protection is often invisible to the one being protected. You believed I stepped back because things fell apart. You believed I withdrew because doors closed. You believed I went quiet because you disappointed me. But I never left you. I never turned away. I never stopped paying attention. What you experienced as distance was me standing between you and harm you could not yet recognize. What felt like abandonment was actually my hand holding you back from something that would have wounded you more deeply than you were ready to endure. You thought failure followed you. You looked at outcomes that did not match your hopes and decided you had failed the test. But what you called failure was often interruption. I interrupted paths that would have drained you. I interrupted relationships that would have shaped you in ways that conflicted with who you truly are. I interrupted plans that looked good on the surface but would have cost you your peace. Interruption feels like loss when you cannot see what it saved you from.
There were moments when you were convinced you missed your chance. You replayed conversations, decisions, timing, wondering what you could have done differently. You carried regret like proof that you were careless or slow. But I tell you this now, you did not miss what was meant for you. What truly belongs to you does not slip past unnoticed. It waits. It aligns. It meets you at the right moment, even if that moment feels later than you hoped. You misread silence as rejection. You thought my quiet meant disapproval. You believed that if I truly cared, things would have moved faster, felt clearer, or hurt less. But silence was not absence. Silence was space. Space for you to grow without pressure. Space for wounds to heal without being rushed. Space for your identity to separate from outcomes so that you would not confuse success with worth. There were spiritual moments you never recognized because they did not feel dramatic. Moments when you were guided away from places you wanted to stay. Moments when discomfort pushed you to leave situations you tried to justify. Moments when peace faded in environments that once felt safe. Those were not random feelings. They were warnings spoken softly so you would not feel forced. You did not always listen then, and that is not a condemnation. It is simply part of learning discernment. You survived things that could have broken you completely. You thought survival was just luck or stubbornness, but there were limits placed on what could touch you. There were unseen boundaries around your mind, your heart, your spirit. You were protected in ways you cannot fully measure. That protection did not remove pain, but it prevented destruction. You came close to edges you did not fall from, and you never knew why. Now you were beginning to see. You thought the delay meant you were being overlooked. You assumed others were chosen while you were passed by. But delay was not about preference, it was about readiness. There were truths you could not have handled earlier without misinterpreting them. There were responsibilities you could not have carried without losing yourself. I delayed not because you were weak, but because you were valuable. You interpreted resistance as a sign to quit, but resistance often appears when direction matters most. You faced confusion because clarity was being earned, not withheld. You faced questions because your faith was deepening, not failing. You faced repeated lessons because growth was happening gradually, not because you were stuck. You believed pain meant something went wrong, but pain often means something mattered. You invested your heart. You cared deeply. You hoped honestly. When those hopes were challenged, it hurt. That pain does not mark you as foolish. It marks you as alive. And I was present with you in that pain, even when you believed you were enduring it alone. There were hidden moments when I redirected you quietly, when plans fell through at the last minute, when opportunities dissolved unexpectedly, when people exited your life without explanation. You filled those gaps with self-blame or confusion, but those moments were not punishment, they were alignment. You were being guided away from futures that would have required you to become someone you were never meant to be. You did not know that your heart was being preserved. You did not know that your spirit was being guarded from bitterness, pride, or despair that could have settled in permanently if things had gone differently. You did not know that the road you wanted would have hardened you, while the road you were placed on softened you in necessary ways. You thought you were losing time. But time was working for you, not against you. While you waited, your values clarified, your priorities shifted, your sensitivity to truth increased. You became less impressed by appearances and more attentive to substance. That change was essential. Without it, you would have chased things that looked promising but felt empty once reached. You still don't know how many times you were spared from deeper wounds, how many conversations did not happen, how many decisions were delayed just long enough, how many paths closed quietly. Protection rarely announces itself. It does not leave obvious markers. It simply ensures you arrive intact, even if tired. You thought something was wrong with you because things did not move smoothly. But smooth paths do not always lead to meaningful places. The uneven road taught you how to listen, how to wait, how to reflect. It taught you that answers are not always immediate and the truth often unfolds slowly. I'm telling you this now because you are finally ready to see it without resentment. Earlier, this truth would have felt like dismissal of your pain. Now, it can feel like explanation. Explanation does not erase hurt, but it redeems it. It allows you to release the belief that you were abandoned, forgotten, or corrected through suffering. You were never abandoned. You were guided. You never failed the way you thought you did. You were interrupted for your own good. You were never ignored. You were carefully watched over. What really happened to you was not loss without meaning. It was protection without explanation. It was guidance without force. It was love working quietly while you assumed it was gone. Now that you know this, something can shift inside you. You can stop blaming yourself for things you did not control. You can stop carrying shame for delays that were intentional. You can stop questioning your worth based on outcomes that were never meant to define you. Understanding changes how you remember, and how you remember shapes how you move forward. You are not behind. You were being led. You are not forgotten. You were being protected. And now, finally, you can see it. There is truth I could not tell you until now, not because I wanted to withhold it, not because I feared your questions, but because your heart was still growing into the place where truth could be received without harming you. I need you to understand this gently. Truth is powerful. When it arrives too early, it can frighten instead of free. It can inflate pride or deepen confusion instead of bringing peace. I waited not to keep you in the dark, but to keep you safe. There were things you wanted to know years ago. You asked for explanations. You asked for clarity. You asked why certain things were happening and where your life was going. But if I had answered you fully then, you would have misunderstood what I was saying. You would have heard it through fear, through urgency, through insecurity. You might have rushed ahead of me or pulled away in panic. Your heart was sincere, but it was not yet settled. You were still measuring yourself by outcomes. You were still tying your worth to progress. You were still comparing your journey to others. Truth spoken into that space would have sounded like pressure instead of guidance. It would have felt like demand instead of direction. So I waited, not because I did not trust you, but because I cared about how deeply the truth would land. Some truths require humility to receive. Others require patience. Others require compassion for yourself that you had not yet learned earlier. You were still learning how to sit with uncertainty without needing to escape it. You were still learning how to listen without trying to control the outcome. You were still learning how to stay present when answers were delayed. That learning mattered more than information.
I did not tell you everything earlier because you would have tried to carry it alone. You would have taken responsibility for things that were not yours to manage. You would have tried to fix, predict, or accelerate what needed to unfold naturally. You were already carrying too much. I would not add weight to a heart that was still learning how to rest. There were also truths that would have fed pride if revealed too soon. You might have misunderstood calling as status. You might have confused responsibility with importance. You might have measured yourself above others instead of alongside them. Waiting taught you empathy. It taught you that everyone carries unseen burdens. It softened your judgments. It grounded your sense of self. You needed to learn how to be small before you could be entrusted with what feels big. You needed to learn how to listen before you could lead. You needed to learn how to receive love without earning it before you could reflect it without conditions. These lessons do not come through explanation, they come through experience. There were moments when you felt ready, when you told yourself you could handle the truth now. But readiness is not about confidence, it is about posture. Confidence can rush.
posture can receive. You were confident before. Now you are open. That difference matters. You are less interested now in being right and more interested in being honest. You are less concerned with appearances and more concerned with peace. You are less driven by urgency and more guided by awareness. That shift did not happen overnight. It happened through disappointment, through reflection, through letting go of expectations that no longer served you. I am telling you the truth now because you can hold it without turning it into pressure. You can hear it without feeling accused. You can receive it without fear. You are not listening to prove anything anymore. You are listening to understand. That is why now is the right time. Earlier, truth would have felt like a test. Now it feels like clarity. Earlier, it would have sounded like a demand. Now it sounds like an invitation. Earlier, it would have made you anxious. Now it can make you steady. Timing changes everything. You needed to learn that not knowing everything does not mean you are unsafe. You needed to learn that waiting does not mean you are behind. You needed to learn that silence does not mean abandonment. Those lessons prepared your heart to hear what I am saying now without misinterpreting it. There were also people and situations that needed to move out of your life before truth could settle in. Voices that would have twisted it, environments that would have pressured you to perform, expectations that would have distorted meaning. Waiting allowed those influences to fade so that when truth arrived, it could land in a quieter space. You have grown in ways that are invisible to others. You have learned to pause before reacting. You have learned to question without spiraling. You have learned to sit with discomfort instead of numbing it. These are signs of maturity. They are the foundation that truth rests on. I am not revealing things now because I withheld them unfairly before. I am revealing them now because you can finally hear them without being overwhelmed. You can finally receive them without trying to control the outcome. You can finally trust me without needing immediate proof. Understanding is arriving now because your heart is ready to hold it with humility and peace. You no longer need truth to justify yourself. You need it to guide you. That difference is everything. You were not late to this understanding. You arrived exactly when you were meant to. Earlier would have been too soon. Later would have been unnecessary. Now is right. This is not information for curiosity. This is clarity for alignment, and alignment requires maturity. You have grown into that place through waiting, through endurance, through reflection. Nothing was wasted. Now you can see without fear. Now you can hear without panic. Now you can understand without pride. That is why I am speaking this truth now and not before. You are ready.
If you continue to ignore my voice, what follows is not sudden punishment, not anger unleashed, not love withdrawn. What follows is repetition. It is delay. It is the quiet wearing down of the heart through lessons that keep returning because they have not yet been received. I want to speak to you about this with firmness and tenderness together because you deserve truth without fear and clarity without condemnation. When I speak, I do not shout to control you. I nudge to guide you. My voice often comes as a quiet knowing, a gentle discomfort, a repeated thought you cannot shake, a sense that something is off even when everything looks fine on the surface. Ignoring that voice does not make it disappear. It only makes life louder in other ways. The message stays the same, but the method changes. You have felt this before, the same emotions resurfacing, the same inner questions returning, the same tired feeling of asking yourself why you are here again. That is not because you are weak or slow. It is because truth does not force itself on you. It waits, and when it is ignored, it waits through repetition. Emotional exhaustion often comes not from doing too much, but from resisting what you already know. There is a weariness that comes from carrying tension inside, from silencing conviction, from telling yourself something will pass when it is asking to be faced. That exhaustion settles deep. It makes everything feel heavier than it should. Joy feels distant. Motivation fades. Even rest does not restore you the way it used to. This is not because I have left you. It is because alignment has been delayed. Peace flows naturally when you walk in truth. When truth is ignored, peace does not disappear, but it becomes harder to access. You begin to feel spiritually stagnant, not because you stopped believing, but because you stopped listening. Yes, Lord, I surrender every part of me. If you've laid all your worries and dreams at His feet, and share this video. My child, do not pull away yet. We have reached the deepest part of the river. You have heard the truth about your past. You have understood the protection in the delay. Now, I need to speak to you about the architecture of your future. You have spent so long in survival mode that you have forgotten how to dream. You have spent so much energy keeping your head above water that you have not looked at the horizon. But survival is not a life strategy. It is a temporary state, and I am calling you out of it today. I want to talk to you about the addiction to chaos. You may not want to admit this, but part of you has become comfortable with the struggle. When things are quiet, you get nervous. When peace settles in, you wait for the other shoe to drop. You have trained your nervous system to expect bad news, to expect a crisis, to expect a fight. That expectation is a lie, and it is a barrier to the new season. I am rewiring you right now. I am commanding your spirit to accept peace as your new normal. You do not need a crisis to feel alive. You do not need a battle to feel purpose. You do not need to be adrenaline-driven to be effective. Be still and know. Can you trust me enough to be bored? Can you trust me enough to have a week where nothing goes wrong? Can you trust me enough to let your guard down? The enemy wants you hyper-vigilant. I want you rested. The enemy wants you scanning the horizon for threats. I want you scanning the horizon for glory. I want to speak to you about building. You have been moving from a season of battling to a season of building. They are different skills. The warrior carries a sword. The builder carries a trowel. The warrior runs. The builder stands. The warrior destroys the enemy. The builder establishes the kingdom. You have the sword. You know how to fight. But now, I am handing you the blueprint. What are you building? You have been so focused on what you are fighting against that you have lost sight of what you are fighting for. I am restoring your vision. I am giving you the grace to lay foundations, foundations of family, foundations of legacy, foundations of ministry, foundations of wealth. Building is slow work. It is quiet work. It doesn't always get applause, but it lasts. Do not despise the slow progress of the builder. Every brick matters. Every act of obedience is a stone in the wall of your future. I want to speak to you about the fear of success. You have prayed for breakthrough, but deep down, you are terrified of what will happen when you get it. You are afraid you won't be able to sustain it. You are afraid people will envy you. You are afraid it will change you. You are afraid you will lose it. Hear me. The blessing of the Lord makes one rich, and He adds no sorrow with it. I do not give you a blessing to crush you with anxiety. I give you the capacity to carry it before I give you the weight of it. That is what the waiting was for. It was building your spiritual muscles. You are strong enough now. You can carry the favor. You can carry the influence. You can carry the abundance. Stop self-sabotaging. Stop shrinking back when the spotlight hits you. Step into it, not for your glory, but for mine.
I want to speak to you about your voice. For a long time, you felt silenced. You felt like your words hit a ceiling. You felt like no one understood your language. But I am unsealing your voice. I am putting a new authority in your throat. When you speak, atmospheres will shift. When you decree a thing, it shall be established. Your testimony is not just a story of the past, it is a key for someone else's future. Do not hold back. Speak up. Write it down. Share the wisdom I have given you in the dark places. The world is dying for lack of the truth you carry. I want to speak to you about the new company. You have grieved the loss of relationships. You have mourned those who walked away. But I am bringing a new company into your life. Deep calls unto deep. I am sending you people who speak your new language, people who are not intimidated by your growth, people who do not need you to be small so they can feel big, people who are running at your pace. You will know them by their spirit. There will be an ease. There will be a flow. You won't have to explain yourself constantly. They will see you, they will know you, and they will run with you. Be ready to receive them. Do not let the wounds of old friendships make you close the door on new ones. I want to speak to you about stewardship. In this new season, I am calling you to a higher level of stewardship. Stewardship of your time, stewardship of your energy, stewardship of your focus. You can no longer afford to give your energy to things that do not bear fruit. You can no longer afford to engage in battles that I have not assigned to you. You can no longer afford to be distracted by every wind of doctrine or every wave of drama. Focus. Keep your eyes on the field I have given you to plow. Do not look over the fence at your neighbor's field. Tend your garden. If you are faithful with what is in your hand, I will fill your barns with plenty. I want to speak to you about the rest of God. There remains, therefore, a rest for the people of God. This is not just sleeping, it is a spiritual posture. It is working from rest, not for rest. It is doing everything with a spirit of trust. When you strive, you are saying, "It all depends on me." When you rest, you are saying, "It all depends on Him." Enter into my rest today. Lay down the heavy yoke of performance. Lay down the heavy yoke of people-pleasing. Take my yoke upon you, for my yoke is easy and my burden is light. I want to speak to you about joy. The enemy has tried to steal your joy because he knows that the joy of the Lord is your strength. If he can make you depressed, he can make you weak. But I am restoring the oil of gladness to you.
Laugh again, smile again, rejoice again. Not because everything is perfect, but because your name is written in the book of life, because the grave is empty, because the King is on the throne. Your joy is a weapon. Use it. Confuse the enemy with your praise, breaking the heavy silence with a song of victory. I want to speak to you about the long game. You have been looking at today. I am looking at generations. The decisions you make in this season are not just for you. They are for your children and your children's children. You are a pioneer. You are clearing a path. You are digging wells that others will drink from. Do not get tired. Do not give up. What you are building is bigger than your lifetime. You are breaking generational curses so that those coming after you will never have to fight them. You are setting a new standard. I want to speak to you about intimacy. This is the core of everything. I do not want your work without your heart. I do not want your sacrifice without your love. I want you. Come back to the first love. Come back to the simplicity of just being with me. Before the ministry, before the career, before the family, there was just us. Let us go back there, to the secret place where I can whisper secrets to you, where I can wash the dust off your feet, where I can remind you who you are. I am not looking for employees. I am looking for lovers. I am looking for sons and daughters who love the Father's presence more than the Father's presence. The final blessing. Now, my child, as we close this time together, I want to place a mantle upon your shoulders. It is the mantle of peace. Wear it everywhere you go. It is the mantle of wisdom. Let it guide every decision. It is the mantle of favor. Let it open doors before you knock. I seal this time in the Spirit. The enemy cannot steal what has been deposited in you today. The birds of the air cannot snatch this seed. It is planted deep, and it will bear much fruit. Go now. Go into your day, not as a victim, not as an orphan, but as a king and a priest. Walk tall, speak bold, love hard. I am with you. I am for you. I am in you. And I will never, ever, ever leave you. Amen, amen, and amen. It is finished, and it is good.